5555 Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
I like a good serial killer documentary. He hasn't taken the pounding that wide receivers take.
It's just a pound job, and guys are tired towards that 4 minutes.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
I would be lying to you if I said I had not heard things. They're like a bad rash. You hear a lot of things. Some are true, some aren't.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Monday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. The final week of Jaguar OTAs this week. They will have a veteran minicamp next week. Not sure how many of the veterans will be there, though, based on something Doug Peterson said earlier today. Remember last year, hardly any of the veterans had to be there. It was more for the first and second year players. Will that be the same thing? I would tend to believe that based on what the head coach said today. We'll get into that in a moment. And then after next week's minicamp, that's it. The offseason program wraps up. They will take, 5 weeks, 6 weeks off or so, and they'll come back in late July, and we will start it up, the 2024 training camp season. We got a ton to get into with you until 10 o'clock tonight. Had the opportunity earlier today down at Jaguar OTA to catch up with Anton Harrison. Really enjoyed that conversation. I'll talk with Anton about a number of topics, including from year one to year two, the way last year ended. And Anton has developed a little bit of a role on social media as a food critic. I don't know if he's going to be the next Bobby Flay necessarily, but we'll talk about all of that with Jaguars second-year offensive tackle Anton Harrison. That comes up in less than 15 minutes. Also, my buddy Tyler Dunn of GoLongTD.com. You'll remember Tyler last year had that really powerful Zay Jones story when Zay was here in Jacksonville, just laid out that night in Los Angeles that probably changed Zay's life forever. He also, Tyler Dunn, wrote the Andrew Wingard piece where Dewey kind of went in on Urban Meyer last year, if you'll remember that, and that story completely blew up. So anytime Tyler makes his way to Jacksonville, things tend to happen with stories and whatnot. Tyler was here last week. I saw him down there at OTAs. He'll join me tonight here on Hacker After Dark to give you a sneak peek of what he's working on this year and to get his thoughts on not only the Jaguars, but on the rest of the AFC South. So Tyler Dunn joins me in about 35 minutes or so. So we're absolutely jam-packed with you till 10 o'clock. Glad you're with us here on Hacker After Dark. By the way, real quick, congratulations to the University of Florida today. The softball team beats Oklahoma. Snaps Oklahoma's 20-game win streak. Now that sets up a rematch tomorrow with Florida and Oklahoma. The winner of that will go on to the college softball final, which will begin on Wednesday. So Tim Walton and the softball team, congrats to those ladies on a great performance today. And how about Florida baseball? Kevin O'Sullivan and the Gators, many did not want them to get in the tournament. Many thought it was ridiculous that they were in the tournament. They were only the fourth team, I believe, ever since the field expanded to 64 to have 27 regular season losses and still make the tournament. And all they did was go out to Stillwater, Oklahoma, and win a regional out of the losers bracket. They had to beat Nebraska yesterday. They did. They had to beat Oklahoma State yesterday. They did. And then they had to beat Oklahoma State again today, and they did. 3 wins in a row. Florida advances out of Stillwater. They now will head to Clemson for the Super Regional. Florida State is also in a Super Regional, so 16 teams remaining, and both the Noles and the Gators are still standing. So congrats to both of those schools, but particularly Florida for doing it the hard way, but coming up with back-to-back-to-back victories, including 2 over Oklahoma State in the Cowboys' home ballpark. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
on Hacker After Dark.
All right, OTAs today. Final week of OTAs. Final day today that we're going to be able to view OTAs as the media. OTAs are what they are. There were guys in baseball caps and football jerseys and shorts. So when you know that going in, that's a good perspective to have. There's not hitting per se. There's no pads. There's none of that. We're going to get all of that next month when training camp begins. But what you get at OTAs is you get an idea, right? You get a perspective. And in being out there the last few weeks, there are a couple of things that have really jumped out to me about this Jaguar football team. Number one, and I talked about this last week, is competition. There's a lot of competition, man. Maybe not necessarily for starting spots, but there's a lot of competition at wide receiver, offensive line, cornerback, safety, running back. I mean, you name it, pretty much across the board, there's a lot of competition. The Jaguars are going to have to cut some players that people know. When the Jaguars go from 90 to 53, some of the guys on that list that are going to get cut are people that you've heard of, are people that have played regular season games here in Jacksonville. The roster to me is deeper than it was last year. A lot deeper than it was last year. A couple of individual performances that have stood out. I'll tell you this. Evan Ingram has been a beast out there. Now remember, he was not at OTAs last year because of the contract. He obviously got the new deal prior to training camp. He was great last year in the regular season, and he's picked up right where he left off. Evan Ingram has been sensational out there. Every time I watch something where 17 is on the field, he's making a play. I love what I've seen out of Evan Ingram. Christian Kirk as well. Healthy, back in the fold. We know what Kirk means to this offense. He has looked very good. And as far as the young guys, Jarian Jones out of Florida State. I told you guys I liked the pick when they made it. I like it even more a month later. Every time 22 is out there, good things seem to happen. Jarian Jones is breaking up passes. He's doing a lot of nice things. Again, is it football per se? No. There's no pads, no tackling, none of that. But for what it is, OTAs, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Jarian Jones are three guys to me that have absolutely stood out at this portion of the Jaguar art, and of course Cam Robinson at left tackle. And it's interesting when you think about this. If you take Mitch Morse, Brandon Sheriff, and Cam Robinson, right? Take those four guys. That's roughly 35 years of NFL experience that those guys have. Absolutely invaluable to have those guys for the likes of Anton Harrison, Javon Foster, a Luke Fortner, a Cooper Hodges, the young guys, to have those veterans there. I'm going to ask Anton Harrison about that. A lot of grizzled vets on that offensive line. Offensive line needs to play better. There's no doubt. Trevor got hit too much last year, and the running game really couldn't get going. Offensive line did not play well last year. They need to be better. Cam Robinson's a big part of that. Remember, Cam Robinson was suspended at the beginning of 23. Then he got injured. He missed about half the games last year. I thought when Cam played, he did a very good job. And I was thinking about this today as well, because Leon Searcy was out at OTAs with me. For 23 years since Baselli and Leon played here in Jacksonville, they've been clearly the two best offensive tackles in franchise history. It has not been close. When we do our all-Jaguar 22, which we've been known to do from time to time, every time we've done that, year after year after year, Baselli's your left tackle, Leon Searcy's your right tackle. And that will probably continue for the foreseeable future. But after those guys, right, we're talking 30 years of Jaguar football, right? 30 years this year. It's a lot of football. Who are the next offensive tackles in line? Well, to me, always after Baselli and Searcy, I would put Mo Williams. Longevity, things he did here, Mo Williams has always been my number 3. Tell you this, Cam Robinson, has he supplanted Mo Williams as the 3rd best offensive tackle in Jaguar history? If not, give me a better one. Cam Robinson drafted in the 2nd round of 2017. This will make what? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This will be year number 8 for him here in Jacksonville. The guy, when healthy, has been good, if not very good. He's been franchised twice by this organization. You know, for all the negative things that people have said over the years about Cam Robinson and the injury problems and the suspension last year, which was unfortunate, it hasn't all been gravy, right? It hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows. But you take everything Cam has done in his 7-year career, entering year number 8, and you think back over the tenure of the Jaguars here in Jacksonville, again, outside of Baselli and Searcy, they're clearly 1 and 2. You could probably make the argument Cam Robinson is the 3rd best offensive tackle in franchise history, which is something, right? You look at other positions on this team. Evan Ingram, he's only been here 3 years. Evan Ingram's already on the Mount Rushmore of Jaguar tight ends. I mean, are you kidding me? Outside of Mercedes Lewis, has there been a better tight end ever in a Jaguar uniform than Evan Ingram? With all due respect to my guy Pete Mitchell and my guy Kyle Brady, I guess Brady would have the argument too, right? Mercedes and Brady. But Evan Ingram, 100-catch season last year. He's caught almost 200 passes in just 2 years. If he puts together another 80 or 90-catch year, he's right there with Kyle Brady and Mercedes Lewis as one of the top 2 or top 3 tight ends in Jaguar history. Obviously, the hope is that Trevor will one day be the best quarterback in franchise history. He's not there yet. Mark Brunell, I think, still is. But Trevor, that's the goal, right? For him to supplant Brunell as the best quarterback in franchise history. You could make a decent argument that Travis Etienne is already the 3rd best running back in team history behind Fred Taylor and behind Maurice Jones-Drew. There have been some other guys, certainly, James Stewart, Natron Means, albeit a very short amount of time. But certainly the argument is there for Etienne behind Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew. So a lot of excitement with this team. Now, that's an indictment of things that had been done here over the previous 10, 15, 20 years, really since the late 90s / early 2000s. But it goes to show you that the potential is there. And again, Anton Harrison's not in that conversation yet. We're about to hear that conversation. I really like Anton Harrison. He's good with the media. He's good with the fans on social media. I'm going to talk to him about that. He interacts with the fan base. He's a good player coming into year number 2. Anton Harrison's going to be one of the faces of this franchise moving forward on the offensive line. I have no doubt about that. I am very high on Anton Harrison. I caught up with him earlier today down at Jaguar OTAs at the Miller Electric Center. You'll hear that conversation next on a Monday evening in Jacksonville, Florida with Dylan Denmark, the hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. Anton Harrison next, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Dan Hicken.
Last night he's swimming in Jack Daniels, so now he can leave tall buildings in a single bound.
Jeff Prosser.
What if this is as good as it gets?
They are the drill.
We call it the place to be.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. I say that name a lot, that program a lot, because I get asked about it a lot, and I love getting asked about it. You know why I get asked about Awaken 180? Because I'm down over 65 pounds since February 20th. Down at the practice earlier today. Had guys left and right coming up asking me, Hacker, how'd you do it? Talk to me about Awaken 180. The word is getting out. Matt Hayes, Mike Dempsey, now yours truly. It is so effective. It changes lives. If you need to lose weight, if it's time for you to drop some pounds, I can't recommend Awaken 180 Weight Loss enough. Do yourself a favor. Give them a call. 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800. Or visit their website, awaken180weightloss.com. I'm 65 plus pounds down in less than 3.5 months. If I can do it, you can do it. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Buying a car can be stressful, especially one sold as is or with no warranty. Do the 7, 10, or 30-day warranties leave you wondering what will happen on day 31?
Stop. Car buying doesn't need to be so stressful. Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet now offer the exclusive Beaver Certified program protecting your used car for 7 years or 100,000 miles. That's right, certified Hondas, Fords, Nissans, and any other make you consider now come with the peace of mind you deserve. Shop worry-free at Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville.
Hey sports fans, this is Hayes Carlyon from MyBookie. The NBA playoffs are heating up and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays, and new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sports book. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing has the highest wind and impact ratings available? If you want a stronger roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Learn more at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money. Your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
It's not training camp, but it is the start of a new season. Listen for 1010XL's coverage of organized team activities and minicamp.
Go, here we go.
Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, an avocado consultant from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Dave Ortega. Okay, Dave, here's your question. Your house is not bad in the morning, but by the afternoon, your AC can barely keep up, even with the curtains closed. What do you do?
Oh, can I buy a valve?
Not that kind of show, Dave.
Can I spin the wheel?
Yeah, we don't even have a wheel, Dave.
Can I phone a friend? Oh, can I call Bueller?
That's right, Dave. Call Bueller Air and Plumbing to assess your home's airflow and sunlight patterns, and let us optimize your air conditioning so that you are cool.
This is the happiest day of my life.
Well, you gotta get out more, Dave.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you wear contact lenses and you're between the ages of 18 and 69, the Vision Research Center is looking for participants in clinical research studies. If eligible, you'll be compensated up to $50 per hour. I've done these contact lens studies for years. The VRC staff is wonderful and they work with my busy schedule. See if you qualify. Visit their website, 188visionok.com. 188visionok.com.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Rotator cuff tears are the most common overhead injuries I see. In order to avoid shoulder issues, make sure not to overload the front of the shoulder while also focusing on developing good scapular strength and maintaining flexibility in your lats. Proper hydration, nutrition, and supplementation are also crucial to joint and muscle health. Go Jag.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you are with us. Earlier, Miller Electric Center, Jaguar OTA, week number 3. Anton Harrison, after practice, stepped aside to give me some of his time, which we certainly appreciate. We talked about a lot of different things, including year 1 to year 2. I asked about OU joining the SEC, and does Anton Harrison have a Food Network dream down the road? Here's that conversation on Hacker After Dark.
All right, another week of Jaguar OTAs right here at the Miller Electric Center with Jaguar offensive tackle Anton Harrison. Anton, how are things looking out there?
Things are going good. We're taking it day by day, just trying to get better, trying to get to that team we know we can be, and just improving.
Let's talk about you. Some minor off-season surgery and the season ended. I see you out there doing individual work. How's the rehab coming?
It's real good. We're real close to being cleared to go, so I'm happy about that. Just trying to do everything I can on my side to get there.
Year 1 compared to year 2, where you were in June 2023 to now June of 2024, it's got to be night and day, correct?
Definitely. I said my main thing is that confidence. Confidence is different. Just going through that first season, knowing, because coming in, I knew what I can do. I knew what type of player I was, but actually going out there and proving it, I feel like I've done that a little bit, and I just got to grow on that to really show everybody who I really am.
You know, and I know you hear probably some of the talk. The talk with consensus was Anton Harrison was pretty good last year. I mean, what was your thought about your performance?
Like I said, pretty good. Definitely could be better. It's a lot of little things that I could do to be better, and I have been working on that to improve that. So it definitely should be a night and day improvement on the field coming up this season.
Obviously, a lot of offensive line injuries last year. The key is staying healthy. Have you seen the team, kind of come together with a lot of new guys? Mitch Morse now, Javon Foster. What's the thought in the room?
Everybody's good spirits. Everybody majority healthy. I'm probably the one that's not healthy, so that's a good thing. Everybody is healthy. That O-line room, since I've been here, they just been so tight and so brother. So when Mitch came in, the rookies came in, it's just been the same thing, no drop-off. So that's a good thing. We just able to every day come in, enjoy each other, and get better together.
A couple of more for Jaguar offensive tackle Anton Harrison. I mean, when you have Tyler Shalley, Mitch Morse, Brandon Sheriff in there, and Cam Robinson even, I mean, you're talking 40 years, 35 years of NFL experience. What is it like working with those guys every day?
It's great. Some days I could just sit back there and just take notes all day. I could just take everything they say, Phil, Nick, Greg, the coaches, all them players, everything they say. I could just sit back there and take notes and learn a lot in the day with them guys. And even on the field, I talk to them more. I talk to the coaches because just they know it. They've been there, and then they can teach me things I don't know. So I'm always asking them questions, always trying to learn from them on and off the field, routines, how to get better, diets, things like that.
Anton, as we begin to wrap up, the way last season ended, Doug Peterson's talked about it, Trevor's talked about it. It was frustrating for the fan base, for you guys certainly. 5 months later, still a motivating factor, the way last season ended?
Oh, definitely. That's one of them, you try to forget it, but you really can't. They're better than that. Just how we ended, that wasn't us. Everybody's frustrated. but that's just going to fuel to the fire for next season. Keep us motivated, not let that happen again.
Got to ask you a couple of things. All right, food critiques on social media, man. People are really picking up on it. Or we got a Food Network show in the making? What's going on there?
Actually got something coming. I got a little YouTube video coming out. It's cooking. It's actually a couple coming out, so be on the lookout for that. But it's just me. Obviously, I'm an old lineman. I eat a lot. So I feel like I eat a lot of good food. And some people, they be hating on my food sometimes. So I just got it out there one day, and everybody got into it. So I just started putting my takes out there. A lot of people be hating on it, but they don't try it, though. That's the thing. You got to try it before you hate. But I feel like I be helping a lot of people out.
It's funny how things like that take off. Did you expect the reaction that it got?
Not really. I knew some of them, because some of them, I feel like some people like tomatoes and the sugar and spaghetti, things like that. I feel like some of them were, but not how I expected it.
Well, follow Anton Harrison on Twitter for all your ingredients takes here. Final question. OU, man, SEC. What are your thoughts about joining the Southeastern Conference for your alma mater?
It's definitely big. I feel like SEC, definitely a different conference. But I feel like if we do what we need to do, we can definitely compete in that conference. Obviously, it might be some growing pains here and there. I know it's a lot of changes. I know when I went up there for the spring game, I barely knew half the team, and I've been gone for a year, so it's kind of hard for me on the outside to tell. But I got faith in my boys. So,
Anton, best of luck, man. We'll be watching.
Thank you.
There you go, Anton Harrison of the Jaguars. Appreciate the Jaguar PR staff for helping us out here on Hacker After Dark and getting Anton. And I got to tell you, I'm just more impressed by that guy every time I talk to him. You know, truthfully, I didn't know much about him when they drafted him last year. I guess you could say I was lukewarm on Anton Harrison. And then he arrives here, and, you know, he had the shoulder issue, right, in training camp a year ago. And you're kind of worried about that. And then you're really worried when you saw Chris Jones in week 2, Jaguars, Kansas City, and the rookie struggled, right? I think he would tell you that he struggled. After that game, Anton Harrison was pretty good, man. I mean, for a rookie to come in and start 17 games in the National Football League, he really wasn't healthy the entire year. I have zero complaints about the way Anton Harrison played. And I'm very intrigued to see what could potentially happen moving forward with him, whether it be at right tackle, which it will likely be this year, and potentially, dare I say, left tackle in the future with, you know, uncertainty surrounding Cam Robinson and Walker Little. Keep in mind, both of those guys are free agents after the 24 season. But the fact that Anton Harrison is in the fold, I'm very, very happy about. And that's just one of the young guys, man, between him and Trayvon Walker. You know, it was interesting today. Doug Peterson at his press conference, by the way, Denmark, so last week, 95 in the morning, Interstate 95 was horrible. Traffic was awful. So, of course, I got there with about 5 minutes to spare, and I told myself, and you know this because I'm always early, this will not happen again. So what do I do this morning? I leave my house about 25 minutes early, and there was no traffic whatsoever. It was me and the cleaning crew at the Miller Electric Center for about 30 minutes. I was the first guy there, and it wasn't even close. I think Peterson spoke at 9:40. I probably got there at 8:45. I was tailgating before Doug Peterson's press conference. But one of the things he said today was he was asked about year 1 transitions to year 2. Some of the young guys that are standing out between year 1 and year 2. And he talked about Brenton Strange, and he talked about Tank Bigsby, and Parker Washington, and Tyler Lacey, and Ventrell Miller coming back from injury. And you're sitting there listening to him. He basically rattled off the entire rookie class from last year, with the exception of Anton Harrison. Because, of course, Harrison performed last year. He played, and he played well. You got to get more out of that 23 rookie class. You got to get more out of Brenton Strange. You got to get more out of Tank Bigsby. You know, Ventrell Miller was hurt. You give him the benefit of the doubt. He's looked good out there thus far. Big year for Tyler Lacey. Big year for Yasir Abdullah. Big year for Antonio Johnson. That rookie class has potential, but outside of Anton Harrison, a little bit of Parker Washington, and a little bit of Antonio Johnson, that rookie class last year left a lot to be desired. So you hope those guys take a big jump from year one to year two. I expect they probably will. I was talking to a couple of media guys down there today, apparently Tank Bigsby. And I want to talk to Tank, if not next week at minicamp. I'll talk to him during training camp to get it right from his mouth. But in talking to guys that have talked to Tank, apparently there's quite a chip on his shoulder. I mean, it's interesting. You know, we don't think these guys, you know, listen to us or read social media. Of course they do. They know what's being said. They know what's being talked about in the fan base. And Brenton Strange and Tank Bigsby in particular have been kind of roasted, right? By the fan base, by the media. I've been harsh on them for what was not stellar rookie years. Now, I don't think they're bad picks yet. You got to give them more than a year. You got to give them opportunity. I don't think Bigsby or Strange got that much of an opportunity, but when they did get an opportunity last year, they didn't seem to do very much with it. Year two is going to be a gigantic year because, look, second and third round picks have to produce. It's the way the world works in the NFL. If you're a second round pick, you got to be playing better than Brenton Strange did last year. You're a third round pick, you got to perform better than Tank Bigsby did at times last year. So other than Harrison, I got no complaints about Harrison. And really no complaints about Antonio Johnson. The other guys need to step up. I believe they will. But you add them to the likes of Devin Lloyd, Trayvon Walker, the rookie class this year, Tyson Campbell. There's a lot of good young pieces on this football team. And we'll see if they mesh. They meshed to 8-3 last year before it broke apart. We'll find out what happens this year. A guy that has written a lot of really interesting stories about the Jaguars in the last year or so is my buddy Tyler Dunn. His website, golongtd.com. The Andrew Wingard story about Urban Meyer, that was golongtd.com. The Zay Jones story last year, talking about that infamous night in L.A., that was Tyler Dunn at golongtd.com. Tyler was back in Jacksonville last week. I had a chance to chat with him last week. I had a chance to get him on today to talk about his travels here in Jacksonville. What did he learn here in Jacksonville last week? What's coming up? What storylines are coming up? Based on what he told me, he's got some more juicy stuff. Maybe as juicy as what he had last year with Zay Jones and Andrew Wingard. Tyler Dunn, golongtd.com, next on a Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
I think we're ready for a tournament.
We are so flipping good.
Attention, Googans. Come drive, drop, and dink with the drill Friday, June 14th.
That's our first tournament.
At the Fruit Cove Recreation Club. Cash prizes, free swag, beginner's clinic, and Jeff E.T. and I in an exhibition match.
It looks so easy.
Go to thefruitcove.com and click on the 1010 flyer. To sign up your men's, women's, or mixed team, that's thefruitcove.com.
We are so good at pickleball.
Sponsored by good friends at Injury Care Centers and Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors.
Hacker here, and I just got back from a 9-day cruise to the Caribbean. Now, I knew I was going to slip off my Awaken 180 program because, hey, I deserve it. I've lost 65 pounds so far. But guess what? My Awaken 180 coach even suggested it and helped me cheat. She showed me how to take a break for 9 days and not put any of the weight back on. I ate all sorts of foods, from fried green tomatoes to frog legs, but the shocking part, I didn't keep going back up for seconds, thirds, or fourths. My body didn't need it, and I really didn't want it. Did I lose weight on vacation? No, I was on a break. But did I gain 10 pounds? No, sir. I didn't gain a single pound because my metabolism is on fire. My body's just doing its thing. If you want a program that works, want coaches that understand real life, do what we all did and call Awaken 180. They've got your back while keeping your front from popping. 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
I'm Patrick Young, inviting you to the Florida SBDC's Network Small Business Success Summit, August 19th and 20th at the Sawgrass Marriott in Ponte Vedra. If you're ready to learn, network, and be inspired, I'll be delivering a keynote message you won't want to miss. Secure your spot today by registering at floridasbdc.org. Hey, there's no time to waste. Right now is the right time. I hope to see you at the Small Business Success Summit in August.
Is your roof ready to weather the storm? Don't take chances with your home safety. Trust the experts at Universal Roof and Contract. Get peace of mind knowing your home is protected from the elements. They'll ensure your roof is in top shape to handle anything Mother Nature throws its way. Right now, get 10% off a re-roof or repairs, plus a free wind mitigation with a full roof replacement. Call 855-ROOF-HELP or click universalroof.com to schedule your free roof inspection. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Come on, admit it. Almost everyone you know seems to be playing pickleball now, right? So whether you just want to learn how to play or you're ready to show off your elite pickleball skills, the Y is the place for you. Visit our brand new McGuire Family Pickleball Center at the Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach. 5 top quality outdoor courts and 3 amazing indoor courts where you can learn about dinks, dill ball, falafel, the kitchen, and more pickleball slang at the Y.
Add an ace to your Tuesday morning.
The third ace in 4 days.
Brunch with a tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Art of Natural Stone.
8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
How nice would it be not to worry about your AC unit for 10 years? What? Vaughn's Heating and Air, standing by their units for 10 years. Imagine not having to think about your AC unit for a decade. Vaughn's 10-year warranty covers the parts, labor, and refrigerant. Basically everything. No fictional problems that will cost thousands. This is legit. An AC unit with no repair costs. Wouldn't that be nice? So remember, if your AC unit won't turn on, just call Vaughn's. That's Vaughn's Heating and Air.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
Are you tired of living with constant pain from torn ligaments or nagging tendinitis and bothersome joint pain? Say goodbye to endless medications and invasive surgeries. Go BioTarget Regenerative Treatment is available only at injury care centers. Their innovative approach helps you recover faster and get back to doing what you love without drugs or surgery. Don't just treat the symptoms, target the root cause with BioTarget. Visit GoBioTarget.com to learn more and schedule your appointment today.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. And here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars' final week of OTAs is underway. They will have mini camp next week, and then that's it until the end of next month when training camp arrives and we start the gauntlet, which is the 2024 NFL season. A man going on an NFL tour is my buddy Tyler Dunn. GoLongTD.com is his website. Tyler was in town last week here in Jacksonville. It was fun catching up with him. and Tyler joins us now on 1010XL. Tyler, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me back. And yeah, it was an eventful trip to Florida, like we discussed a little off air. Had a nice little 5.5 hour sit and wait for a tow truck situation. I think it was like in Melbourne, Florida, somewhere in the middle of I-95. But yeah, that wasn't that great, rolling in back to Jacksonville at 6 a.m. But it's probably on me, right? Because I had that ingenious idea of doing some Jags right in the morning, driving to Miami and back. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror.
Hey, there's no question about it. Yeah, I've been in situations like that, so I totally understand. Well, you and I talked last week. I mean, quickly, I thought it was interesting. You had never been to the Miller Electric Center before last week, and you tour a lot of NFL facilities. What were your impressions on the Jaguar building down here?
Right. Yeah, the last time I was in Jacksonville, they were practicing inside the stadium. I think it was OTAs minicamp right around then. Actually talking to Dewey Wingard about Urban Meyer, and that time that he wanted to kick him off the team just for calling him a rookie coach. That was interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you remember, Tyler, that story kind of took off here in Jacksonville a little bit.
Oh yeah, yep. Urban tends to move the meter, I hear, right? But yeah, at that time, it was hope, it was hype, and it was all real in Jacksonville country. I feel like that team, fresh off the winning streak to get into the playoffs, the legendary crystal ball story from Doug Peterson, inspiring everybody in the middle of the year. And then you get in the playoffs and you have one of the best comebacks of all time. And then you go to Kansas City, you snap Patrick Mahomes in half and you almost win that game. It was real. That really struck me as a team that could get to the Super Bowl and win it. I think I even picked them to win the Super Bowl last year, go long. And then they start 8-3 and everything falls apart, right? Christian Kirk has that injury, the defense folds, and then they're out. They don't even make the playoffs. So I wanted to get back and just kind of get a sense for where this team is. How do you recapture that magic? Get back to that point where you felt the way you did a year ago. There's a lot of factors. I'm sure we'll get into them here, but yeah, to be at that new facility and to get some eyeballs on this team, you can talk yourself into the Jaguars being that contender still, I believe.
Tyler Dunn, golongtd.com. Of course, many people remember Tyler's work, the Zay Jones story that you've written in the past, the Andrew Wingard story in regards to Urban Meyer. You've done a lot of really good work with the Jaguars. I'm excited to see what you got last week from some of the guys. And when you and I talked, I mean, you and I were both in agreement, a lot of newness on this team, right? This roster, I don't necessarily know if it's turned over completely, but you're probably looking at 35-40% of a new roster when the 53-man final roster comes out. What's your thought on some of the free agents, some of the rookies that are spending their first year here in Jacksonville?
That's probably the story of the team, and it's so fascinating because you could be like the Dallas Cowboys. Like, I've got a story up at Go Long today on like the state of the Cowboys. Here's a team that's won 12 games 3 years in a row, and they didn't do a damn thing. Like, they just sat on their hands. And you could have re-signed Dak and pushed some money around and pursued a veteran in free agency. And I don't know. I feel like if you're a team in that Jaguar Cowboy kind of realm where you want to fancy yourself a contender, but you got to change stuff up to get to that point. Give me the Jaguars. Give me the team that's going to turn over 35-40% of the roster, like you said, because something's not working. You're 9-8. You didn't get in. Things fell apart. To aggressively rehaul the coaching staff on the defensive side made sense, but I think the changes on offense are equally interesting because I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I don't think there was a worse team in football running on first down. It seemed like this team was in second 9 to second 12 all season long. So that has to change. And you know what? I don't think it's the worst thing that Calvin Ridley takes that money elsewhere and you bring in Gabe Davis. You bring in a rookie. You've got Christian Kirk back from the injury. You've got Evan Ingram. You've got some weapons to work with. I mean, Devin Duvernay is like your 4th or 5th guy. So I think the receiving core is still really strong. And then it's all about Trevor Lawrence. Is he going to limit the turnovers? Is he going to be able to take advantage of clear, athletic, physical gifts that few quarterbacks really have? And I still believe the infrastructure is there for the Jaguars to take advantage of all things Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you watch this team every day. They miss Christian Kirk. I mean, I think he was central to so much of what they do offensively, and maybe one of the more underrated storylines in the whole NFL is his absence and what it did to the Jaguars on offense.
Trevor Lawrence, Tyler, nationally has gotten a lot of grief. I've seen quarterback rankings that have him, 15 or lower, and certainly we take umbrage with that here in Jacksonville. I mean, Tyler, you talk to people around the league. You cover it on a national basis. Do you think the criticism on Trevor is a little too harsh, or do you think it's somewhat warranted, at least up until this point?
The fact that he was in such a terrible draft class probably doesn't help. I mean, Zach Wilson at number 2 is an all-time bust. Trey Lance, an all-time bust for what San Francisco gave up 3 first-round picks to get him. Mac Jones, he's in Jacksonville now, right? He was the heir apparent to Tom Brady. That didn't work out. Justin Fields, a mess. I mean, and not all his fault, but, man, he had a lot of chances, and he can't read a field. So I think that probably hurts Trevor Lawrence nationally, no fault of his own, that he's kind of like lumped into this historically bad quarterback class. But some of it is justified. The turnovers, you can't really make an excuse for. I mean, he's got to cut those down. I remember talking to OC Press Taylor a year ago, and a big emphasis was knowing when to be Clark Kent, knowing when to be Superman. If you're in the red zone, not to force the issue. I think he still needs to clean some of that up. But he is a top 10 quarterback with the potential to be a top 5 quarterback because, I mean, he just attempts throws that other quarterbacks don't think of. Spots on the field, using his eyes, reading everything. It's all there. I mean, I think that if you're Trent Baalke, if you're Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, if you're everybody who runs this team, you're still paying Trevor Lawrence a lot of money. I don't know if it's like setting the market kind of money, like above Joe Burrow, but hell, I mean, whatever Jared Goff got, like I'd give Trevor Lawrence, and I would just hitch your wagon to him. You've seen the other side. You've seen what it's like to live in that quarterback purgatory, and you've seen the glimpses of greatness in Trevor Lawrence. I think that this season, it probably doesn't hurt that they're like the forgotten team in the AFC. I'm sure they don't mind the fact that everybody's. I'm driving to the airport right now as I talk to you. I'm going to the Houston Texans. They're going to be the darlings, right? I mean, the Tennessee Titans, they handed out a lot of blank checks. Even the Indianapolis Colts, they get Anthony Richardson back, and they've got Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman. The Jaguars are going to fly kind of below the radar in their own division, let alone the conference. I don't know how you quantify that, but it sure is a hell of a lot different than the hype going into last season. I think that's going to be a good thing, top to bottom, with this roster.
A couple of more for Tyler Dunn. GoLongTD.com is his website. We'll tell you all about that here in just a moment. And like you mentioned, you're on your way to Houston as your tour in these OTAs and mini camps. We got training camp next month. The AFC South, you talk about a transformation, Tyler. A year ago, it was thought maybe the most boring division, dare I say the worst division in football. Now, coming into 2024, man, outside of probably the AFC North, I don't know if there's a better division than the AFC South top to bottom. It's been a really incredible transformation for all those teams.
It has. I mean, they've been the Thursday night doormat laughingstock of the league, it seems, for a while, right? Hey, everybody, you get Blake Bortles versus Ryan Tannehill on Thursday night. Or Marcus Mariota. Here we go again. This is not that AFC South. I mean, these are 4 teams with a hell of a lot of talent, a hell of a lot of intrigue. I think all 4 fan bases can go into this season with hope. A lot of teams can kind of manufacture hope. It is real with all 4 teams to varying degrees. Even the Titans, I mean, we'll see what Will Levis is. I don't think anybody really knows, but man, what a situation for him with all of the receivers that he has around him, and they fortify the line. So yeah, it's a different division. I'd go with the NFC North up there. I feel like, Caleb Williams with that talent in Chicago, that's got a chance to be really good really soon. Jordan Love, I mean, God, I joke that Go Long has become almost a Jordan Love fan site too often. We've been on him for a while. This guy is special, and now the world's seeing it, and now they had a little money to get a Xavier McKinney on defense, to get a Josh Jacobs on offense. the Packers are poised, and I mean the Vikings, they still got Justin Jefferson, best non-quarterback in the league, arguably, and all the Lions did was come within a play or two of making the Super Bowl. So I'd probably still go NFC North number one, and that's a good point on the AFC North. But man, that AFC South, if there was a fun meter, that might be number one. I cannot wait to see what all of these teams do this season, and I think it's going to be a good thing for Jacksonville that everybody's kind of sleeping on this team, because I think quietly they got better. Think of their offseason like in two acts. Like the first act was a little scary. It looked like, man, what's up with this Josh Allen contract? You've got one of the best edge rushers in the league, and you still haven't done that. And there goes Calvin Ridley. And did you overpay Gabe Davis? There's some question marks early on. But then once the dust settled and you look back at everything, I think you've got to love what Jacksonville did. They get Allen done. They get another receiver. The Davis contract looks pretty dang good now, if you ask me, if he's like a third option. And defensively, I think it's really encouraging where things are going. I don't think it can get worse than it was at times last year, but just talking to Foye Oluokun there after practice, getting a sense for, accountability. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling here on and on, but there were times last year when they were 8-3, he said, where maybe they kind of overlooked some issues. They had a good record, but they weren't as good as their record said. I mean, this is the team's best linebacker, one of their best defensive players saying this. I think that matters. Like, even when you're winning games, you've got to go in that film room and break stuff down and dissect yourself, self-scout throughout the course of the year. Be hard on yourself. I'm not so sure the Jaguars did that defensively last year. Similar, I heard the same stuff from Harrison Phillips with the Vikings a year ago, with Ed Donatel, and they were winning all these crazy games. Like, they needed Brian Flores. They needed somebody in there that's going to be harsh. I think there'll be some tough love in those defensive meeting rooms for the Jags, and that's needed.
No, I think that's great stuff. And, I talked to Anton Harrison today, and Trevor Lawrence has said the same thing. I mean, 5 months later, that collapse last season still affects them here in the month of June, which is probably great news for Jaguar fans, a motivated team coming into the year. Tyler, as we wrap up, Trent Baalke gets a lot of grief nationally, and quite frankly, he gets a lot of grief locally. But it sounds like you like the job the Jaguar general manager did this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how it plays out with the receivers. They had to pivot when they didn't. They weren't able to re-sign Ridley. But I think that you'd rather have Thomas on the rookie deal with a Gabe Davis, reunited with Chad Hall as a receivers coach who, man, I mean, I live in Buffalo. Those wide receivers, they'd run through a wall for Chad Hall. They just love the guy. He just knows how to squeeze every ounce of your potential out of you. I think that's one of the more underrated moves that this Jags team's made. So you kind of factor everything in, and I like where they're at receiver. Christian Kirk coming back healthy off his groin injury, which, he was descriptive on that. Doesn't sound pretty. and then, yeah, I mean, you're able to get it done with Allen. So it kind of, everybody kind of had to sweat that out a bit, but you got it done, and that's what matters. So I think that, I'm hesitant, I'm hedging, and I'm not going all in on all things Trent Baalke because I can't get Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson out of my head. So let's see how that plays out. But hey, what if Walker goes out there and has 15 sacks? I mean, he was banking on upside, on those physical gifts that he didn't believe Hutchinson had. So right now, Aiden Hutchinson looks like the far superior player, but I would not be surprised if Walker is one of those players that just turns the corner this season. And I think he might be the key to it all on defense.
And look, Trayvon Walker, very quietly, nobody paid much attention to it because of the collapse, did finish with 10 sacks last year. Yeah. He had a double-digit sack total in year 2, up from 3.5 year number 1. Tyler Dunn, golongtd.com. Tyler, you have written some absolutely terrific stuff on the Jaguars in the past. You were here in Jacksonville last week. Let Jaguar fans know what's coming up there on Go Long TD in regards to the Jags as we move forward.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. The Jaguar fans have been exceptional, trying to build up Go Long and parachute into different markets. You're never really sure how stories will resonate. And, man, it was great to see Zay Jones a year ago, and he opened up about that night. He almost hurled himself through that L.A. condo window. So yeah, coming up, we'll have a lot. I don't want to give too much away. I'll just say I sat down with one of the team's best players who went through a hell of a lot himself. Maybe not quite the Zay Jones level off the field, but I was startled to hear what this guy went through, and he's in a very good place mentally, physically this year. And then also, I always chat with Press Taylor in Jacksonville, and we got into a hell of a lot in his office. I know that fans have a lot of opinions on him as a play caller, and the whole play caller thing is still kind of sorting itself out. But he really did kind of dissect where they're coming from offensively. Him, Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, how things come together during the course of a week. It was really interesting to hear an OC of a team be as open and transparent as Press Taylor was. So that story will be coming as well.
We love it. GoLongTD.com. When those stories come out, we'll certainly direct people over to Tyler Dunn's website. Tyler, it was great chatting with you last week here in Jacksonville. Safe travels to Houston, and we'll talk again soon, my friend.
You got it, man. Thank you so much.
Mia O'Brien.
I ask questions, I interview people.
And you get paid for that?
Yeah.
She is a reporter.
On Helmets and Heels.
She's a special woman with a smile could light up your heart.
Weekdays noon to 2 on 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Did you know DuckDuckRooter is the area's go-to plumber? A 5-star Google-rated company, DuckDuckRooter can take care of all of your plumbing repairs and upgrades. Need to switch from septic over to city sewer? Call the Duck. How about water heater repairs and replacement? You're just a duck away, or call away, for DuckDuckRooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, I'm not going to pretend I know the specific problems you might be facing when it comes to the prospect of selling your home. Maybe you need more space for your office or a growing family. Perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a low-ball, out-of-state, instant offer. It's a tougher market. It means it's crucial to hire the right agents to sell your home and maximize your price, and that's why I'm recommending Chad and Sandy Newman, chadandsandy.com. They have the plan and experience to get your home sold fast and get it sold for maximum cash. In fact, Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Can you have any more comfort and security than that? Take Tanya in Palencia. I needed to sell my condo fast. I bought a new construction home thinking I had plenty of time to sell, but I listed with another realtor, and I got no showings and no offers. I ended up paying 2 mortgages. I then hired Chad and Sandy. I got offers in days and closed in under 30. Go to chadandsandy.com and take advantage of chadandsandy.com.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
9 o'clock hour has arrived. John Shipley of Jaguar Report. Saw him out at OTAs earlier today. He will join me in less than 15 minutes to give his thoughts on the final OTA open to the media this offseason. And our NFC East preview. We will make stops in Philadelphia, in Washington, in New York. Tonight, we will begin with the Dallas Cowboys as we will preview the NFC East all week long. Our guy out in Dallas, Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. He stops by in about 35 minutes. Speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, what a sad, tragic story with Larry Allen passing away at the age of 52. Apparently on vacation in Mexico, died suddenly on Sunday, according to reports. Larry Allen was a ferocious monster in the National Football League. One of the best offensive guards to ever play the game, one of the best offensive linemen, period, to play the game, an 11-time Pro Bowler, a first ballot Hall of Famer, a guy that put up 43 reps of 225 pounds, a guy that famously maxed out at 700 on the bench press. 700, man. And not only that, but Larry Allen was an athlete. I remember he ran down that Saints linebacker after that interception, that famous video you always see. Larry Allen was one heck of a football player, man, and that was terrible to hear about his passing. 52 years old, that's young. That's way too young. Prayers up to Allen's family and friends and the entire Cowboy organization. That's tough. No question about that, but man, such a good football player, a great one. Gone way too soon in Dallas Cowboy Larry Allen. Not an easy transition, but a transition we will make to on the field currently in the National Football League. And that's Justin Jefferson. He got paid today. Paid. 4 years, $140 million. $110 million of that is guaranteed. He becomes the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. He becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Well deserved. The guy's awesome. The guy is a phenomenal player. 110 mil guaranteed. And this is the friendly reminder that the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted C.J. Henderson and Kayvon Chason in front of Justin Jefferson. Not one, but two. Henderson and Chason ahead of Justin Jefferson. Again, thank you to former Jaguar general manager Dave Caldwell for all the just tremendous work he did here with this Jaguar roster. Chris Sims releasing his list of the top 40 quarterbacks of 2024. I know what most Jaguar fans think of Chris Sims. He doesn't bother me as much. I tend to agree with some of the things that he says. Some I don't agree with, but I like the list he puts out every year. Trevor Lawrence came in today on Chris Sims' top 40 list at number 11. Sims has not released the top 10 yet, but Trevor Lawrence was ranked higher than Kirk Cousins, Jordan Love, and Aaron Rodgers, who were 12, 13, and 14. 15 through 20, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Tua, Geno Smith and Caleb Williams. It's hard to argue that. After the year Trevor had last year, he's ranked 11. I'm okay with that. What I don't agree with is when you see Trevor 16 or 17. That to me is nonsense. At number 11, I think that's fair. And Chris Sims, I guess, will release his top 10 as the week goes on. I think we have a pretty good idea who number 1 is. He's probably the guy residing in Kansas City with not 1, not 2, but now 3 world championships. John Shipley, Jaguar Report. Less than 10 minutes away, Jaguar OTAs. John was down there. What are his thoughts from the past couple of weeks as the Jaguars begin to wrap up their off-season training camp the end of next month? We'll talk to John Shipley of Jaguar Report next on a Monday night in Jacksonville, Florida. It's Hacker After Dark.
Summer on the First Coast with 1010XL, Jacksonville's cool summer station.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, an avocado consultant from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Dave Ortega. Okay, Dave, here's your question. Your house is not bad in the morning, but by the afternoon, your AC can barely keep up, even with the curtains closed. What do you do?
Can I buy a valve?
Not that kind of show, Dave.
Can I spin the wheel?
Yeah, we don't even have a wheel, Dave.
Can I phone a friend? Can I call Bueller?
That's right, Dave. Call Bueller Air and Plumbing to assess your home's airflow and sunlight patterns and let us optimize your air conditioning so that you are cool.
This is the happiest day of my life.
Well, you gotta get out more, Dave.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hacker here, and I just got back from a 9-day cruise to the Caribbean. Now, I knew I was going to slip off my Awaken 180 program because, hey, I deserve it. I've lost 65 pounds so far. But guess what? My Awaken 180 coach even suggested it and helped me cheat. She showed me how to take a break for 9 days and not put any of the weight back on. I ate all sorts of foods, from fried green tomatoes to frog legs, but the shocking part, I didn't keep going back up for seconds, thirds, or fourths. My body didn't need it, and I really didn't want it. Did I lose weight on vacation? No, I was on a break. But did I gain 10 pounds? No, sir. I didn't gain a single pound because my metabolism is on fire. My body's just doing its thing. If you want a program that works, want coaches that understand real life, do what we all did and call Awaken 180. They've got your back while keeping your front from popping. 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready to swing into the hottest party this summer. Join First Tee North Florida at the Yards June 13th for the Summer Soiree. We're bringing the spirit of the Pacific Islands to Ponte Vedra with a Hawaiian luau-themed event. Enjoy family-friendly fun, including Hawaiian food trucks, live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and more. The First Tee Summer Soiree provides the perfect blend of golf, party, and philanthropy. All proceeds benefit the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
Give us your hot take.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
On the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Be part of the conversation. 641-1010.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Men suffering from ED or PE, see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. For a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call 904-664-8217, 904-664-8217.
Wondering what you're going to do for dinner tonight? Southern Steer Butcher is a full-service butcher, and we grind and make sausage in-house every day.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The third and final week of OTAs for the Jaguars. They will then have a mini camp next week, and that'll conclude the off-season portion, and then they will go away for about 5 weeks or so, and then training camp comes at the end of next month. With that, John Shipley of Jaguar Report, always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. John, how you doing?
Hey, doing good, my friend. How you doing?
Hey, John, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. You and I haven't spoken on air since OTAs began, our third time being out there this week. Your thoughts in totality about what you've seen, or I guess not seen, at OTAs this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think OTAs always comes with a special kind of context. You know, defensive backs aren't allowed to make some degrees of contact, so some plays will be made that normally aren't made. You know, it's ball caps, T-shirts, and gym shorts is what OTAs really is. But there's still some things that you can take away. I definitely do subscribe to the idea that I think the Jaguars have gotten bigger and faster. I think that's something that you can tell on the field. Gabe Davis, you know, he isn't even participating fully in team drills, but just watching him in individual drills and on reps to Trevor Lawrence, you know, he looks like, you know, an explosive threat added to this offense. Brian Thomas Jr. has looked the part athletically, but it goes beyond them. You know, other additions, guys like, you know, Jerry Jones on defense, you know, obviously Devin Duvernay, obvious as a returner. You can just tell that adding speed on both sides of the ball is a big emphasis this offseason.
John, my word has been competition. There looks like a lot more competition. Last year, when they basically ran it back from the 22 season, I don't know if it was all that difficult to come up with a 53-man roster. This year, look, they're going to have to cut some names at wide receiver, at offensive line. That's just a couple of positions, other positions as well. I mean, there is going to be a lot of competition for those final handful of roster spots.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, especially in terms of depth, that the Jaguars have attacked that differently this offseason. Those, you know, role spots, there's maybe second spots. I think that you're definitely going to see some names who, like you said, we've seen on the roster for years. You mentioned wide receiver. I think that's a great mention because Tim Jones, has made the roster the last couple seasons. They obviously love how he offers stuff in special teams and then the run game, but he's got guys, really nipping at his heels now. Parker Washington, I think, Doug Peterson said today that he's had a good offseason. I think, Parker Washington had a great day today. Obviously, again, it's not a full practice, but he's somebody who looks like he's taking that step. So you can definitely see more, like you said, competition, more guys fighting for spots. I definitely say it's more of a contested roster than it was at this point last year.
John Shipley of Jaguar Report. I want to talk about some of the young guys, some of the position battles. And I don't know if it's just me. And again, you're right, OTAs, you do take them for what they are. But every time I'm watching out there, John, Evan Ingram is doing something. And he was a guy last year that wasn't even at OTAs because of the contract. We knew we got the new deal before training camp. But good grief, 17 to me has looked fantastic in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree. I think if you're looking for the two guys who have probably looked the very best over the course of these OTA practices, the three of the seven that media has seen, I'd say Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk are right up there at 1 and 2 for me. I think Evan Ingram's been fantastic. And I was talking about it to somebody out there today. It went from, you remember his first training camp for the Jaguars 2022? The coaches were being asked at press conferences, and they were getting worried, leading up to the season about him having drops in practice. Now you watch him out there, fast forward a couple years. He looks like one of the best players on the field. He catches everything comes his way. I thought he made the play of the day in the practice today with a really nice grab, on the sidelines. He's looked as good as he ever has in a Jaguars practice, I think.
What's been your initial thoughts about Brian Thomas Jr.?
I think he definitely looks the part in terms of a first-round pick athletically, what you want to see from a speed, size, standpoint. I think you want your first-rounder to look different in that way and to be able to separate himself from the other guys in the room. And I think he definitely does that. Looking at him, you can tell he brings a different element. I think his speed that he has shown downfield has been pretty obvious. His catch radius, his length, I think has been something that's been easy to tell in this kind of setting. And, today was one of those times that we saw them, be in red zone, and I was able to watch him, just 10, 15 feet away. And he had a couple reps that I was really impressed by, in team drills, his releases versus press coverage, his body movement, his ability to get open, with his route running. He's somebody who, I thought had a really solid spring as well.
John Shipley of Jaguar Report. All right, Doug Peterson earlier today pointed out almost the entire draft class last year. He was questioned about young guys that have emerged this offseason, and he talked about Brenton Strange, and he talked about Tank Bigsby, and he talked about Ventrell Miller and Cooper Hodges coming back, and he mentioned all these guys, and we're sitting there thinking, my goodness, that's basically the entire draft class from 2023. I mean, how big has this offseason been, and how much do you think that'll matter for a lot of these guys coming into a very important year number 2?
I mean, I think it has to be a big offseason. You're talking about guys like a second-round pick in Brenton Strange, third-round pick in Tank Bigsby, a fourth-round pick in Ventrell Miller. Those are, just off the bat, 3 pretty significant picks who need to show at least something entering year 2. I think the Jaguars, the best case for them is those guys do take that step forward. You can't live in the past. You can't draft in the past. Those are your players now. You need to make, the absolute best of it. And I think, they've shown that they've been willing to. They've mentioned how they do think they could have gotten Tank Bigsby onto the field more last year, and it doesn't seem like they've shied away from looking to him in practice. It really seems to me like the staff is practically begging Bigsby to be able to step up into that number 2 running back role, because it doesn't seem like they want Travis Etienne to be a bell cow back who takes as many touches and hits as he did a year ago. So I think that class this season is absolutely vital for them.
It's interesting. I was talking to our colleague Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 earlier, and he brought up an interesting point. Brenton Strange and Tank Bigsby have kind of been annihilated, right, by the media and the fans, a lot of us, quite frankly, for disappointing rookie years. And those young guys, I mean, they're on social media. They see what people are saying. We talk about the motivation that the team has to respond from the collapse last year, and I think that's true. But in particular, Strange and Bigsby, probably a lot of personal motivation to respond from what was considered to be down rookie seasons.
100%. And the reason that, they receive probably a lot of that from people is, whether fair or unfair is where they were drafted. People expect second and third round picks in today's age of, consuming football content. They expect top 100 picks to be ready to, make some kind of impact. People spend all offseason, thinking about how they can get their favorite players at those picks. And then when they pick, other players, they're still expecting some kind of production. So it's not their fault. They weren't the ones, asking to be drafted in the second round and then not be put on the field much. Because that's another thing is I don't think either one really had that many opportunities for people to criticize last year. Obviously, I think Bigsby had a couple of severely unlucky turnovers, but Travis Etienne averaged under 4 yards per carry behind that line. It's not surprising. I think Bigsby didn't look great, and they didn't really give him a chance to get any momentum at really any point in the season. And you look at Brenton Strange, he ran some of the least amount of routes among eligible tight ends last year, and he was one of the first 6 or 7 drafted. So it's just a matter of getting those guys actually on the field, I think.
A couple of more for John Shipley of Jaguar Report. As you mentioned, defensive back, no pads. You can't really tell a lot in OTAs. But from the eye test, do you think they have enough at corner, or do you think they need to add a veteran before camp?
I think they would probably be wise to add, a veteran, because you look at the depth chart in the competition behind Ronald Darby and Tyson Campbell, and it is virtually pretty much all young players. It's rookies like Jerrion Jones, DeAndre Prince, other young guys entering their third years like Buster Brown and Greg Jr., and other guys, Christian Braswell, Eric Hallett. It's a lot of young guys who have been drafted in the last 2 or 3 years who are still developing, under this coaching staff and in the system. So I think it wouldn't hurt to add a veteran. It's just, how many veteran cornerbacks are there out there who are willing to accept what is likely not a starting job, because it sure looks like they have the top 2 cornerback positions locked up, and then the third one they'll have it locked up between Jones or Savage or Antonio Johnson. They have a nickel, they almost have too many nickels, so it looks like they have the first 3 spots locked up.
Something that we really haven't talked about, 37 and 45, the corner and the safety, Edmonds and Trey, the corner, 2 veterans that were brought in really under the radar. Nobody even really talked about these guys when they were brought in. Edmonds in particular spent time with the Tennessee Titans last year. He was also with Philadelphia. Are these camp bodies, or do you think these guys have a realistic shot of making the 53-man roster?
I mean, I think they have a shot just because I think they could use potentially another veteran safety, especially with some of these changes on special teams and how teams have to cover them and the different body types they're going to be looking for. I think Flowers, potentially he could be that veteran cornerback. He obviously has experience in a Ryan Nielsen system. And then Summers, he's a really athletic linebacker who they have experience with after he was here in 2022. So I wouldn't expect any to, be major factors or anything like that, but I could see them pushing for jobs, toward the bottom of the 53-man roster.
Yeah, Trey Flowers is absolutely enormous, too, for a cornerback. When you go out there, he really, really stands out. John Shipley of Jaguar Report, as we make the turn for home, same question. Edge pass rush. We've talked about it all offseason. The Jaguars haven't proven you and I wrong yet. They haven't gotten a veteran, and here we are in the month of June. Training camp is next month. Are you still banging on that wall like I am, saying, guys, go get a Carl Lawson, go get, an Ngakoue or whomever, or do you think now they have enough at that position behind Walker and Allen?
I think it definitely still makes sense to look at all of your options, because behind them, you have more questions than you have answers. I do think Travis Gibson, if put in the right situation, could be a quality number 3 pass rusher. He has shown that he can get after the quarterback and pass stops. It's just the last 2 years haven't gone the best for him for some things that are purely out of his control. And then, it depends how much really you believe in Yasir Abdullah, because it seems like if he does enough to impress them, that he's that number 4 pass rusher. So, but maybe they're waiting to see, what they can get out of him in training camp and potentially the preseason. But I could see them talking into themselves as that being their 4 deep.
After Brian Thomas, have any of the other rookies stood out to you in the OTAs?
Oh, yeah, I think Jerrion Jones has been the best, the rookie who has stood out the most during OTAs. In my count, in team drills, over 3 OTA practices that we saw, he had 4 pass breakups and then an interception today, which was the only interception made by the defense today. So I think Jones has been, fantastic. Other guys, it's not really fair to judge trench players. The guys like Mason Smith, Javon Foster, Jordan Jefferson don't really have takes necessarily on them. But Jones is definitely somebody who stood out to me.
Yeah, I agree. DeAndre Prince looks the part too, but Jerry and Jones, I agree, has looked very, very good. And then as we wrap up, I want to talk about the podcast you guys do at Jaguar Report in just a moment. I had the chance to speak with Anton Harrison earlier today. Boy, John, I really like him. I mean, good personality. He's a good football player. He's engaging with the fans on social media. Anton Harrison is a guy that we haven't talked a ton about as far as kind of a face of this franchise, but I get a feeling a year or two down the road, Anton Harrison's going to be one of the guys on this roster.
No, I absolutely agree. I think Anton Harrison is one of the true building blocks of this roster because, he's playing right tackle right now, but in a year or two, would it surprise you if he's, starting at left tackle and potentially looking at a big, mega contract extension? It wouldn't surprise me. He has all the traits to be that. He could be a big money right tackle as well. I truly believe that when you look at this franchise and the most important players moving forward, just based on, obviously youth and their potential impact over the long term, I do think he is already one of those building blocks, and that will only continue moving forward.
And that was what was wild, is I actually thought of this as I was interviewing him, but I asked him about the veterans in that offensive line room, from Sheriff to Morris to Shatley. I threw Cam in there. Those four guys combined have like 35 years of NFL experience, which is wild to think about, but how valuable that has to be for an Anton Harrison or a Javon Foster or Luke Fortner, or the young guys in that room.
Oh, absolutely. The Jaguars really have had kind of an embarrassment of riches at the offensive tackle position the last couple of years. You see some teams struggling to even find two players, really worth starting a position. The Jaguars, I think this is going to be their fourth season in a row where it looks like they have three guys who can legit be a day one starter at tackle, whereas not every team has two. So they've really had, quite the run at the position lately.
John Shipley of Jaguar Report. All right, John, tell us about Jaguar Report and tell us about the podcast that you and Gus Logue do, a podcast that is certainly growing.
Yeah, Jaguar Report, it's on si.com/NFL/Jaguars. You can find new content there every day. I truly believe that we have one of the best, online outlets in terms of getting the most Jaguars news. We'll have mailbags, analysis. We had even breaking news. We had a story on Chris Ash being hired as a scout, after being with the team a couple years ago as an Urban Meyer assistant. And we also have the Jaguar Report podcast. Me and my co-host Gus Logue, over there, does a great job as well at 1010. We report every Wednesday during the off season, and then during the regular season will be every Monday and Friday. And we're, continuing to grow, continuing to get more content out there each and every week, and we'll always be there with the take when you need it.
John Shipley of Jaguar Report. Hard to believe the next time you and I talk, we will be previewing training camp as it arrives at the end of next month. John, really appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thank you, brother.
This is 1010XL, where we eat, drink, and sleep Jacksonville sports.
I know you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not quite sure how when it comes time to sell it. I'll tell you how. I'll give you two hows, Chad and Sandy. More on that in a second. It's a tougher market now. It means it's crucial to hire the right agents to sell your home to maximize price, and we have been telling you now for years, and why I'm recommending Chad and Sandy Newman at chadandsandy.com. They've got the plan and experience to sell your home fast for maximum cash. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts. You can cancel at any time, but most importantly, Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Take Mary in Panther Creek. My dream was to move from my Panther Creek home into a new Del Webb Sweetwater home closer to my family. Chad and Sandy made it happen. They sold my own home in just 14 days, plus they helped me get into my new dream home at the same time. Call the Jacksonville experts I trust and recommend. Call Chad and Sandy at 414-6200, 904-414-6200, or chadandsandy.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free from credit cards, car loans, and personal loans. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Hey Beaches area, great news for your next party. You can now buy Mystic Cornhole Company boards in stock at the Seaside Shops on 4th Avenue in Jacks Beach, or as always, at mysticcornhole.com.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Make every day brighter, every laugh louder, and every moment memorable at the YMCA. More than just the gym, the Y is a community where you can dive into fun, fitness, family time, and make new friends all under one roof. With complimentary youth sports, childcare while you work out, summer camp savings, and more, the Y is the best value for families. Join the Y today and grow stronger together with amazing summer membership savings for a limited time. Find details at fcymca.org.
Hey, it's Mike Dempsey, and you know how I feel about Pella Windows and Doors. Great design, strongest warranties, and the highest quality products. I even chose Pella Windows for my own home. And whether you're a homeowner replacing windows or building a new home or a trade professional working with clients, I know the design experts at Pella will help your project run smoothly and look great. Visit PellaJacks.com or the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Kick it here with Zero Res. If you're like me, you like to sit on the sofa and recliners and watch a good game or show. You know, unwind down from the day. But sometimes TV time means food, drink, and a mess as well. That's why you need to have the Zero Res truck out and get that furniture looking great again. All of June, Zero Res offering 25% off all upholstery cleaning, 25% off a sectional, off a sofa, 25% off a love seat, 25% off your favorite recliner. Zero Res, man. You spell it forwards, you spell it backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
This is Hayes Carlion for QC Kinetics. Are you not able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of joint pain? Well, give my friends at QC Kinetics a call at 904-274-5522 for a free consultation. They're serving the Jacksonville area with locations in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue so you can walk, run, hike, play golf, move again, pain-free. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility. Stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation, 904-274-5522 in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. That is QC Kinetics.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville as we kick off our NFC East preview. We will make stops in New York, in Washington, and in Philadelphia. But tonight, it's all about the Dallas Cowboys. An interesting offseason kind of lacking a lot of player acquisitions. Cowboy fans not exactly happy about some of the things that transpired. Let's go out to Dallas. Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com, is our guy when it comes to the Cowboys, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Nick, how we doing?
Doing pretty well. Like you said, probably an offseason full of inactivity, but it's the Dallas Cowboys. There's always something to talk about, right?
No, there's no question about it. And what about the inactivity? Now, they did do a couple of things. They brought Zeke Elliott back. I mean, we'll talk about the things that they did, but by and large, not a lot of moves were made. I know some Cowboy fans have shown their frustration about that.
Yeah, and I think more so it was directed towards the rhetoric that Jerry Jones had given early in the offseason when he had kind of given an indication that they might actually be aggressive this offseason. I mean, they have a historical tendency of not necessarily being big players in free agency. They tried to do it in the early 2010s, and it bit them a couple of times with some contracts they maybe overpaid on. And so since then, the direction of free agency has always taken by the front office has been, hey, let's kind of hold put on this first week, see what leaves fall, see what dominoes fall, and let's attack that second wave of free agency. But even in that area this year, they weren't able to do that. And if you look at their cap situation, and it's very much handicapped by Dak Prescott and what that contract could look like in 2025. He's heading into the final year of his contract currently with the Dallas Cowboys, and if he does not return in 2025, that's $40 million of cap space that'll just be dead money that they won't be able to use in 25. So you would think in the right mind, you would want to do a contract extension with Dak Prescott, extend that dead money out, and be able to play with some more money this year. But they haven't been able to really get at the negotiation table with Dak Prescott. That's caused a little bit of issues with extensions with CeeDee Lamb, with Micah Parsons. And so it really just kind of looks like for the Dallas Cowboys, if they want to exceed outside of the building, they need to take care of the chores inside the building before they do so.
Nick, I want to get to the players in a moment, but let's talk about the coach. What about McCartney? What's your thought on him and his long-term future there in Dallas?
Yeah, it's fascinating because I think if you had told anybody when he got hired in 2020 that, hey, you'll be looking up in 2024, he'll be fresh off of 3 consecutive 12-5 seasons, you would think that maybe there's some playoff success that would come along with that. But that hasn't been the case. Unfortunately, it's just been that regular season success. And I think Cowboys fans, I think you could go up to anybody right now and say, hey, the Cowboys are going to go 17-0 in 2024. And they're going to say, we don't care what happens in the playoffs. So it's basically Mike McCarthy. I think his entire job status going forward kind of revolves around what the Cowboys do in the playoffs, whether that is 17-0 or whether that's 9-8 and sneaking into a wild card position. If they can make some playoff noise, then McCarthy's future probably has a little bit more certainty. But if they don't, then there's a real possibility that someone else is coaching the Dallas Cowboys in 2025.
You know, I go back to that Green Bay game. Look, I like Mike McCarthy. I mean, obviously the guy's won a Super Bowl. He's obviously a very accomplished coach. You mentioned 3 straight 12-win seasons. But, boy, that Green Bay game was a Gordon Soley shot to the solar plexus for Dallas. And to be honest, yeah, I'm a little surprised that nothing happened. I mean, was there talk out there that, you know, things might change, and were people surprised that they didn't?
Yeah, and I think fans immediately after were basically calling for anybody and everybody to be fired and to kind of move in a completely different direction in a lot of senses. But it looks like this front office is giving everybody one last season to try to figure this out under the current structure. And then if that doesn't work, they probably move on from there. Of the players that are on the roster right now, 88 of them, 30 of them are heading into the final year of their contract as it currently stands. They have a head coach that's heading into the final year of his deal, a defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, that is only on a 1-year deal. So it's all kind of built around 2024. And I think the front office has set it up with everybody, and they've communicated to everybody that this is going to be the one shot to prove that they have some long-term staying in Dallas. We'll kind of see how that evolves as time goes on, but I think that's certainly the landscape as you look at it right now.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com, as our NFC East preview kicks off tonight with the Dallas Cowboys. All right, Nick, you mentioned Dak Prescott. A lot of uncertainty about his future. I think Dak's a very accomplished quarterback, has certainly not had the postseason success, though, that many would want. You're around him every day. What's your thought on him and your thought on his future out there in Dallas?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I think you ask anybody in this building, front office all the way down to custodians, I think everyone has the same exact opinion on Dak Prescott, is that he's a stand-up dude. They want him to be a Dallas Cowboy until he retires. It's really just going to come down to if the price can get figured out and be correct, and if there's a legitimate path towards going away from Dak, if that's what the front office decides to do. You know, I think the Dallas Cowboys, in a sense, have maybe been benefited by the fact that they've had back-to-back long-term quarterbacks, because there are so many teams that have kind of gone through quarterback purgatory for so long. I mean, I'm sure, Ryan, you could talk about the Jaguars before Trevor Lawrence came into the equation. I mean, it's that quarterback search that is so hard to do in the NFL, and I think maybe the Cowboys have been benefited by having Romo and then it just transitioning right into Dak Prescott. If they decided they wanted to go out and search for a quarterback, it's a tough thing to do. You can't just grab one, and you can't just draft one either. You know, there's you can look on the depth chart right now. Trey Lance, the number 3 overall pick that the 49ers probably thought at one time was going to be their quarterback of the future, and that didn't pan out. So it's tough to find the signal caller. I think if you ask anybody, though, they want to get a deal done with Dak. Dak wants to get a deal done with Dallas. It's just about coming together on the right price and the right longevity for it too.
I'm by no means a Dallas Cowboy fan, but I think Dak Prescott suffers from a lot of the same stuff Trevor Lawrence suffers from nationally. I think people are a little too harsh on him. I mean, you look at his numbers, Dak Prescott's a very accomplished quarterback. Now, I get the postseason stuff, and that's a separate conversation, but I think Dak takes a lot of grief that he probably doesn't deserve.
Yeah, I think there's some truth in that too, and you, especially if you look at it whenever he's been playing 100% healthy. Now, whenever he's battled some injuries and he's had to kind of force himself onto the field at times, that's where you've seen the interception problems pop up. You could go back to 2022 when he was dealing with a thumb and an elbow injury, and he led the NFL in interceptions. But then coming off that season and coming into 2023, this last year, he finished just second in MVP voting. He leads the league in passing touchdowns. He's second in passing yards. He was able to lead them to an NFC East title and a 12-5 record once again, and a number 2 seed in the playoffs. But again, it's once they get to the playoffs, he had that pick 6 that was very crucial late in the first half that gave Green Bay the 27-0 lead, and that just sucked the entire air out of the building. And you can look in that first half, what went wrong in that game. It's hard to point anywhere else other than Dak Prescott.
Yeah, that pick 6 was courtesy of Darnell Savage, who is now here in Jacksonville as a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. A couple of more for Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. Nick, CeeDee Lamb, he's next on the agenda. You look at the wide receivers that have gotten paid, including Justin Jefferson. Now, I don't think CeeDee Lamb's going to get that, but CeeDee Lamb probably looked at what Jalen Waddle got in Miami as a good barometer. He might even want more than that. What is the thought about a CeeDee Lamb contract extension?
Yeah, we are all on pins and needles now. I think we're all kind of on the radar of a potential CeeDee Lamb deal getting done as soon as this week even. Those two have had discussions, but what's been communicated, or at least implied by the front office and their availabilities this offseason, is the fact that it was CD's representation that was kind of sitting at the bargaining table and being like, hey, we're going to wait on some leaves to fall here and we'll kind of come back to you. Well, those leaves have fallen. Justin Jefferson gets his deal, $140 million over 4 years. You would have to think that's probably the barometer, as you said, for CeeDee Lamb, and kind of where his number might fall, whether that be under that, over that. That's where they're going to have to kind of come to an agreement. I think that could probably happen sooner rather than later. But it would not surprise me if we're heading to training camp in Oxnard, California here in a couple of months and a deal is not done either. So I think it really is just going to come down to those two sides getting at the table, understanding what CeeDee Lamb is worth, because I think he has a great potential to be one of, if not the best Cowboys receiver in franchise history. He had arguably the best season of any Cowboys receiver in the team's history last year, broke franchise records in receptions, receiving yards, and was touching it with receiving touchdowns. So you would have to think that he's going to get his payday when that time does come.
How excited is the fan base about the return of Zeke Elliott, and how much of a factor will he be in that offense?
Yeah, the excitement is, it depends on who you ask, I think, in the fan base, because on one hand, yes, it's Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to be a Cowboys Ring of Honor guy one day. It's great to have him back in the building, and the teammates love that he's back in the building. But on the other hand, some fans will tell you, hey, no, they're just trying to blow smoke up our butt, and this is not going to be the offseason signing that we're going to parade around. You know, there's a lot of pessimism whenever you kind of talk to the fan base right now about the offseason moves and just kind of what all has gone into that. I think any other year that the fan base would be super excited about Ezekiel Elliott being back in the building, but this might just be a little bit different. But with Zeke back in the building, what he can bring offensively. He brings elite pass protection, and that was huge for him late in his time during Dallas. Also, the short yardage opportunities that he's going to have next year, they really needed that at times last year. And granted, this is going to be a running back by committee room. They didn't draft a running back, even though they were expected to, and then they signed Zeke in the days after the draft. So they're going to rely on Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn. They're going to hope those guys can kind of come together and create some sort of running back momentum. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try to add a veteran to that room before it's all said and done before training camp.
Final moments. Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. Nick, how big of a deal is it Dan Quinn no longer the DC? You mentioned Mike Zimmer, but how big a loss was Dan Quinn?
Yeah, Dan Quinn was loved by everybody here. I mean, he just brings a smile. He brings a great attitude every single day. Again, that's another guy who was loved by everyone from the front office all the way down to the custodians. A really good dude, a really good presence, and he brought a lot out of a lot of these Cowboys defenders. You look at Micah Parsons, what he was able to accomplish in the first 3 years. You know, Dan Quinn bringing him in, moving him to an edge rusher type role, and creating him into one of the better pass rushers in the entire NFL. You look at what he's done on the back end, or on the back end with Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, each of those guys leading the NFL in interceptions during his time as defensive coordinator. So definitely a huge loss, especially losing him to a division rival. But bringing in Mike Zimmer is probably the best case scenario for the Cowboys, because Zimmer has a ton of history inside of the Cowboys building. Worked here for 14 years before going off to Cincinnati and then to Minnesota as head coach. And to have him back in the building, it's been really nice for the front office. Zimmer was able to reacclimate rather quickly. And while it is a different system than what Quinn brought last year, there's going to be a little bit different nuance. It's a lot of the same structure. They're still going to run a lot of man coverage. They're still going to run with that four-man front. They're going to try to maximize their edge rushers and get after the quarterback. Physical play on the outside in the secondary. So it's going to be a lot of the same things that this unit is used to. I think the biggest difference, though, is that with no other way to put it, Mike Zimmer, kind of a hard ass sometimes, and he's admitted that. So how will that kind of translate towards the players? And, you know, how will they respond to that? So far, there's been positive reviews, but as you get into the weeds of the season and the instruction really has to come into play, that's where you start asking those questions, and if that will maybe assimilate well. But the hard coaching style, everyone's really excited to have it. How will Mike Zimmer kind of bring that to Dallas? That's going to be the big question.
And a ton of talent on that defense. You mentioned Micah Parsons. Quickly, where are the Cowboys with him as far as an extension?
Yeah, you would have to imagine the CD's going to have to get done first, and then probably after that, Dak Prescott. If you're asking me personally, I don't think Micah Parsons gets done until next offseason, going into that fifth year. I think that makes the most sense for both sides. On the Cowboys' hand, you look at all these defensive players that have had huge deals this year, and yeah, it probably makes sense to get his done but before any other ones pop. But they have to know what they're working with after the CD and Dak contracts to know what they can actually pay Micah. And then on Micah's hand, you look at his sack numbers through the first 3 years of his career. Yes, they have been great, but you look towards the late November and December when those numbers start to tail off a little bit. So if he can go out in 2024 and prove that he has the longevity that can carry over an entire 17-game season and improve his sack numbers from, let's say, 12-13, which is what we've been accustomed to seeing, improve that to 19-20, then he could get much bigger payday next offseason.
Nick, as we wrap up, the division as a whole, the thought nationally is that, you know, Philadelphia or Dallas are going to be fighting for that one spot, with the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders obviously behind in the pecking order. Is that the way you see it, Dallas and Philadelphia battling out for the division title?
Yeah, I agree. Until I see something that, leads me to believe otherwise. I mean, granted, this time last year, I probably would have told you the Giants would have been a little bit bigger players than they actually were last season. You know, I think the Commanders are going to be much better than what they had last year. Bringing in Jaden Daniels, that's going to be a really fun add. Austin Eckler into that offense. You look on the defensive side of the ball, not only bringing in Dan Quinn to lead that unit, but you got Bobby Wagner over there. They brought a couple of pass rushers over from the Cowboys, and Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler. I think they're going to be much improved. I think they could be possibly pushing that playoff bubble as we look up at week 16, 17, 18. But if we're talking at the top of the division, I agree. I think it's going to be a battle between Dallas and Philadelphia. Whoever comes out on top in those matchups is probably who is crowned the NFC East champion.
Nick, I hate to end with this, man, but just devastating news earlier today as a Cowboy all-time great, Larry Allen, unexpectedly passes away. I mean, my understanding was he was vacationing with his family in Mexico, 52 years old, one of the best offensive linemen really in the history of the NFL. I know it's a very sudden thing, and you haven't had a lot of time to digest it, but good grief, man. What's been the reaction in Dallas about the passing of Larry Allen?
Yeah, really sad. Only 52 years old. I mean, it makes you think about all the family members that you have that are within that age, and you don't really think about passing, at that age. But unfortunately, it was a sudden thing that I don't think anybody saw coming. Like you said, one of the great Cowboys of all time. I think you could put him in a Mount Rushmore of Dallas Cowboys all-time greats, and nobody would debate with you. 11-time Pro Bowler, 8-time first-team All-Pro. Was just a solid dude on and off the field as well. And we were actually able to talk to Tyler Smith, third-year offensive lineman, last week about Larry Allen, because he's kind of drawn some early comparisons to Larry Allen, and the fact that he wears 73. He's moved from left tackle to left guard, and now he's honing in at left guard. And you can just tell by just talking to Tyler Smith how much Larry Allen is revered in this building, because he knew everything about Larry Allen from the time that he battled meningitis as a child and was able to beat that and then create a football career off of that, and the things that he dealt with on and off the field during his career, and still able to have the career that he did that led into him being put in Canton and in the Ring of Honor at AT&T Stadium. It's phenomenal. And a weight room legend, bench pressing 700 pounds, and just drawing gaudy impressions at the NFL Combine as well. Everyone in this building loved Larry Allen and still loves Larry Allen even on this day. Definitely some sad faces, and it's going to be a tough one to deal with over the course of the next couple of weeks for the people that have been around since the time Larry Allen had been around. But nevertheless, a great legend, and I hope this is a time that everyone can kind of remember the impact that he brought on and off the field.
Great athlete, too. I'll never forget the play in New Orleans where he ran down a linebacker after an interception. I mean, Larry Allen was a freak. And certainly prayers up to his family and friends. Good grief, 52 years old. That certainly puts things into perspective. Nick, as we say goodbye, man, a lot of Cowboy fans obviously here in Jacksonville. I do a post-game show with former head coach Dave Campo out there, so a connection there. For people that want to follow the Cowboys, tell them about your coverage there at DallasCowboys.com.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Ryan. DallasCowboys.com. We're putting up content every single day, carrying you through the offseason. You can also follow me on Twitter at Nick Harris DC.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. He's our man when it comes to the Cowboys. Nick, thank you as always. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, really appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And again, thank you to Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark as our NFC East preview kicks off. We will make stops in Washington, Philadelphia, and with the New York Football Giants. But tonight we begin in Dallas. I hated ending it the way we did with Larry Allen. That news coming out today, just brutal, man. 52 years old, apparently on a vacation in Mexico. And just died suddenly with his family there on vacation. Ugh, just awful. What a great player. Just a terrific offensive lineman. One of the best O-linemen to ever do it, quite frankly, in the National Football League. So prayers up to the family and friends there of Larry Allen. And as far as the Dallas Cowboys go, as we move it back to football, a lot of pressure, obviously, as you heard Nick say, 30 guys coming up on the final year of their contract, including the head coach there, Mike McCarthy. So it'll be an interesting year in Dallas. There is a lot of pressure on America's team. There normally is, obviously, but even more ratcheted up this year. I think a lot of people will pick Philadelphia to win that division. We'll see. We'll make a stop in Philly later in the week. I would probably lean that route as well, probably Philly 1, Dallas 2. Is the way I have it. Keep in mind, Dallas won the division last year, so Houston plays Dallas. Jacksonville plays Philadelphia this year. That's just the way it worked out with the schedule, 1 playing 1 from last year and 2 playing 2 from last year. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very busy Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark, as they normally are, here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us this evening. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com, kicking off our NFC East preview this week. Thank you to John Shipley of Jaguar Report for joining us. Always enjoy talking ball with John. Saw him out at OTAs earlier today. and enjoyed talking with him here on Hacker After Dark, as you can check out all his terrific work there at Jaguar Report. Tyler Dunn, golongtd.com. He had the great story last year about Zay Jones. He also had the Andrew Wingard story last year with the whole Urban Meyer situation. Tyler's done some great work on the Jaguars. He was in town last week. I got a chance to speak with him, and I had him on this evening to talk about what he did here in Jacksonville last week. He's got a lot of great stuff coming out on the Jaguars on his website, golongtd.com. So appreciate Tyler taking time out for us tonight. And Anton Harrison, Jaguar offensive tackle, second-year Jaguar offensive tackle. Talked to him after OTAs earlier today. A special thank you to the Jaguar PR staff for hooking us up with that here on Hacker After Dark, as I expect big things from Anton Harrison. I like him a lot and really enjoyed talking with him earlier tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Tuesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Monday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Monday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Tuesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.